James stood near the refreshment table at his friend's wedding, gripping a glass of water as though it might anchor him to the room. Every time someone passed, he forced a small smile, but no one stopped. When he finally stepped into a group, his words fell flat, swallowed by laughter that wasn't his. The circle closed without him. He nodded, as though nothing happened, but inside, his chest tightened, and his hands felt too big, too clumsy, too visible. Have you ever felt like James? Like your presence weighed down a room instead of lifting it? Like you spoke at the wrong time? Or worse, not at all? Do you remember moments when your laugh felt too loud, your silence too long, when you couldn't quite find the rhythm everyone else seemed to move to, when polite smiles and quick glances told you more than words ever could? It's easy to believe this is just who you are. But what if the habits you've learned to feel safe, avoiding eyes, fidgeting, staying quiet, are the very things quietly telling others to stay away? What if your shield has become your signal? These habits don't just keep you on the edge of the room. They keep you on the edge of connection. But here's the truth. Once you see them, they lose their power, and when that happens, everything can change. Social awkwardness feels like being trapped behind invisible glass, watching others glide through conversations while you fumble for words or stand silent, unsure where to place your hands. It sits in your chest as a tightness, in your throat as hesitation, and in your mind as a cruel echo. Why can't I just fit in? This isn't because you're broken. It's because your mind learned long ago to protect you, sometimes too well. Psychologists John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, who pioneered attachment theory, showed how early bonds can shape us into men who fear rejection so deeply we retreat before anyone can reject us. Aaron Beck, founder of cognitive behavioral therapy, found that distorted thoughts, like assuming everyone is judging you, quietly sabotage even simple conversations. Society, too, prizes confidence, leaving little space for quiet men to learn differently. In a 2009 University of British Columbia study, male participants were told to avoid eye contact and slouch during social interactions. Without realizing it, they were rated as less competent, less likable, and more awkward, even though they thought they looked normal. As Søren Kierkegaard, philosopher of anxiety and selfhood, wrote, "Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom, a reminder that discomfort can be a doorway, not a wall." What if the discomfort you feel now is your signal that you're ready to step through it? Habit 1. Avoiding eye contact, like it's radioactive. There is a quiet language in the eyes, and some people refuse to speak it. Their gaze flits away like a moth from flame, always finding the floor, the corner, the ceiling. This silent retreat sends a clear message. I don't want to be here, but it also whispers something else. You shouldn't want me here either. Eye contact says, I see you. I belong here with you. Avoiding it feels like safety, but looks like fear. Aaron Beck, the father of cognitive behavioral therapy, observed that people with social anxiety assume judgment hides in every glance, so they shield themselves. But that shield can look like distrust or guilt. Have you felt it? The heat in your cheeks when you forced yourself to look up, only to flinch when someone met your eyes. Imagine, just once, holding that gaze, letting it rest there without running. How would it feel to be seen, not as prey, but as someone who belongs? Habit 2. Nervous laughter that overstays its welcome. The sound of nervous laughter hangs in the air longer than it should, sharp, hollow, clashing with the silence that follows. It starts as an attempt to smooth things over, but quickly turns sour, exposing the unease it's trying to cover. Mark felt this at a work gathering. Each word he spoke ended with a laugh, even when nothing was funny. At first, others smiled back politely, but soon they looked down, then away. His laughter grew louder as the room grew quieter, until he stopped and stood there. Psychologist Paul Ekman, expert in emotional expressions, showed that laughter often hides fear, not joy. People can feel the difference. Have you heard your own laugh ringing hollow? Noticed someone glancing away while you kept chuckling? Nervous laughter feels like connection, but it quickly isolates instead. What if you let the silence stand and allowed yourself to belong without filling it. Habit 3. Over-explaining every little thing. Have you ever felt trapped in your own words, explaining, clarifying, justifying, until even you lost track of what you were saying? Over-explaining is like wrapping your thoughts in layers of bubble wrap, hoping they won't break. But to others, it looks like insecurity, as though you don't trust your own point. People who grew up being criticized or ignored often develop this habit, believing they must defend everything before anyone even questions them. Have you noticed someone's eyes glaze over while you kept talking? Felt the weight of silence growing heavier with every extra word? What if you trusted your words to stand on their own and gave others the space to actually hear them? Habit 4. Awkward body language. Frozen or fidgety. Sometimes the body tells the story someone's trying hardest to hide. Shoulders curled inward, hands buried in pockets, or fluttering like trapped birds. Feet locked stiff to the floor. It's as if they're trying to vanish and run away at the same time. In 2009, a University of British Columbia study asked participants to slouch and avoid eye contact during conversations. Even though they thought they looked normal, observers described them as nervous, incompetent, and awkward, just because of how they held themselves. This happens because nervous energy needs somewhere to go, but instead of grounding you, it leaks out as fidgeting or freezes you into a brittle statue. What would it feel like to stand rooted, to let your body signal the calm you wish you felt inside? Can you picture being the steady one while others swirl around you? Habit 5. Jumping into conversations at the wrong time. The rhythm of a conversation is like a song, but some people keep missing the beat. Words spill out too soon, cutting off others, or they come too late, landing with a dull thud. Either way, the room stiffens, and so does the person speaking. Daniel knew this well. At a wedding dinner, he leaned in eagerly, ready to prove he belonged. But each time he spoke, heads turned, and then turned away. He smiled, but inside he felt smaller with every glance. This habit comes from fear. Fear that if you don't speak now, you'll never be heard. But real connection means waiting for the door to open, instead of forcing it. Have you ever felt your words hang in the air, wrong and heavy? What would it be like to listen first and enter at the right moment? Habit 6. Hiding behind your phone as armor. There's a certain posture at parties, meetings, even dinners. Someone standing slightly apart, head bowed to their phone, scrolling nothing. To them, it feels like armor, a way to seem occupied, protected. But to everyone else, it reads like retreat. The phone becomes a signal. I'm not here. Don't talk to me. Instead of shielding you, it quietly excludes you before you've even tried to join. People often reach for their phones in moments of discomfort, hoping to vanish. But connection only comes when you let yourself be seen, even when it feels raw. Have you ever looked up from your screen and realized the room moved on without you? What if you put it down and let the moment meet you instead? Habit 7. Talking too fast or too little. There's a tension between words and silence, and some people swing wildly between the two. Words pour out too quickly, tumbling over each other, leaving listeners overwhelmed, or they dry up entirely, leaving nothing but silence that grows heavy and awkward. Neither extreme feels good, and both can leave others unsure how to respond. Talking too fast often comes from fear that you'll lose their attention before you've made your point. Saying too little usually comes from fear that whatever you say won't be good enough to matter. Philosopher Aristotle, who taught about balance and virtue, wrote, "In everything, the middle course is best." Here too, the middle, a calm, steady rhythm, allows people to actually hear you and feel at ease. Have you felt your mouth go dry as you rushed through your words, or noticed your voice vanish into silence when the moment called for more? What would it feel like to find that middle ground, to speak like you already deserve to be heard? Habit 8. Missing social cues and not noticing It can be subtle, a raised eyebrow, a slight pause, a quiet sigh, but missing these cues can leave you standing outside a conversation without even realizing it. People shift their weight, glance at each other, give signals that the moment has passed, but some never catch them. Ethan lived this. He would laugh at the wrong time, keep talking when the room fell quiet, or miss when sarcasm had replaced sincerity. At first, people tolerated it. Then, they avoided him, because being around someone who doesn't notice the signals feels exhausting. This habit comes from being trapped in your own head, so focused on what you'll say next. You stop noticing what others are saying now. The world becomes a blur of missed chances and quiet rejection. Have you ever walked away from a conversation, sensing something went wrong, but not knowing why? Imagine learning to read the room, like learning to read a map, and finding the paths you've been walking past all along. Noticing these habits takes courage. It means admitting you've been standing on the edge of the room for too long, and daring to step closer. These habits may feel permanent, but they're not. They're only patterns, and patterns can change. Here's how to begin. First, ground yourself in your body. When nerves flood your chest and your hands fidget, come back to where you are. Feel your feet press into the floor. Let your breath slow. Stephen C. Hayes, psychologist and creator of acceptance and commitment therapy, teaches that noticing your body in the present moment interrupts the spiral of fear. At a networking event, one man, Luke, practiced this by gently pressing his thumb and finger together under the table. When he felt himself freezing, he didn't vanish, he stayed, and the room began to feel smaller, softer. Second, practice simple, social scripts and gradual exposure. Aaron Beck, father of cognitive behavioral therapy, showed that preparing just a few authentic, confident phrases helps quiet overthinking. Start small. A greeting, a compliment, a question. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to perform. Each moment of practice rewires how safe these interactions feel, until they no longer feel like a test. Third, treat yourself with compassion. Kristin Neff, researcher on self-compassion, reminds us that people who speak to themselves with kindness recover faster from embarrassment and connect more easily with others. It's not weakness, it's strength. When you stumble, as everyone does, speak to yourself as you would a friend. Stay, begin again. As Aristotle, philosopher and teacher of moderation, wrote, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. What habits might you start today so others can finally see who you really are? You've just seen them. The quiet habits that speak louder than words, the gaze that flees as if burned, the laughter that overstays and echoes where silence belongs, the flood of words that drowns the room, the frozen hands and restless feet, the eager voice that cuts into the wrong moment, the phone that becomes a shield, the sentences that sprint or disappear into silence, the missed cues, the unspoken messages that everyone else seems to hear but you. These are not flaws. They are old defenses, learned long ago, that once kept you safe, but you've noticed them now, and noticing is the first crack in their armor. That takes strength most never muster. What if, from this moment, you allowed yourself to stand here without them, to let others see you, without the habits standing between you? If one of these habits caught your reflection tonight, describe how it feels rather than naming it. Is it heavy, sharp, quiet? Write just one word below that captures what it's like to carry it. Let others see that word and see themselves in it. And if you think this was everything, it isn't. There's more. In the next video, we'll uncover something even deeper: why even calm, confident people sometimes crumble under pressures no one else sees. You'll want to know why and how to stop it. No pressure, no performance, just presence. And if you do decide to subscribe, consider it a quiet promise to yourself to stop walking circles and finally step forward. The psychiatrist Viktor Frankl once said, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Let that change begin here. You're watching Psychosophy, where psychology meets philosophy.